Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 of the LDG Experience podcast. So before we start today, I want to mention that episode 10 is going to be a Q&A episode. Yes. If you have any questions that you'd like us to answer in the Warhammer flavouring, please drop them in the comments below. I do read all the comments. Or email them to me at Evelina at lazydragongaming.com.
Evelina at lazydragongaming.com. Evelina.
Silent Q.
Yes. Just confused at least 3 people.
Yep.
Now, how are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
yes,
good.
I actually got some sleep. I feel good.
Oh,
roused.
I wish I got some sleep.
I am refreshed for a change, which is nice. But yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And I'm also really excited about this one because this is my one.
Elves are mine.
Vampires are
mine.
Vampires are
yours, yeah.
Before we get into it,
yes.
Why don't you guys do a little bit of a plug?
Shameless self-promotion.
Indeed.
Yes.
So, Lazy Dragon Gaming. We are a game store in Blackpool. You can find us on all the social medias just by searching Lazy Dragon Gaming. It's pretty straightforward. And our website, which is lazydragongaming.com, where you can pre-order all sorts of lovely goodies. Mostly card game related at the moment, but the GW stuff is coming back soon. We're just waiting for Games Workshop to sort out their ridiculous delivery times. As soon as that's sorted out, we can actually start taking proper pre-orders again. So,
and you've started streaming?
I have started streaming, which is LD Gaming Live, where I am streaming Lorcana.
Ooh.
Yes.
On what platform?
On Twitch. Yes.
Thank you.
There we go.
There we are.
Yes.
You've been told.
I have been told. You're right. Yes, on Twitch, LD Gaming Live. So I'm trying to catch Pete up because Pete is now an internet celebrity.
I am. I officially hit Twitch affiliate level, which I'm very excited on Onyx Dragon Gaming on Twitch. You can find us on all the various social platforms by typing Onyx Dragon Gaming into Google now, which is quite scary.
Yeah,
that's quite high on the thing.
Yeah, you're pretty high up now, aren't
you?
It
is. It's weird. Clearly, I found a good niche.
Yes.
We're currently streaming 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, painting a Night Goblin army for the old world, and then Fridays we are painting all sorts of random stuff. From Star Wars to Battletech to 40k to Old World, whatever I feel like.
Dark Angels?
Yep. Yes, because I've got to get them finished as well.
Because soon you will have a Dark Angels box, because it is out on Saturday.
Yes, it will be out as of the time of this episode.
Yeah, it will be released, yes, it will be out. And
yes, no doubt I will desperately want to paint Dark Angels.
Yes.
I'll have to put it into the schedule.
Yes.
The busy life of a professional painter.
Yeah, it's so stressful.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell he's wasting away internally at the stress of having to paint so many models for a living.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid that was the thing he wanted to do for 20 years before he got there.
True, but you're careful what you wish for.
Yes.
It's definitely a real thing.
Yeah. Always be very careful what you wish for. When someone says, I need a 2,000 point army painted, and you're like, yeah, of course I can do that by next Monday.
Yeah. Speaking of being careful what you wish for.
Oh.
That was a segue.
It was it. Oh, yes.
To our subject.
The subject of today's thing is the greatest love story in Old World, as Vlad and Isabella von Carstein.
I was thinking between a Night Goblin and his mushroom.
Yes, Night Goblins and Mushroom. That's still better than Twilight.
Yeah.
Yes. Still a better love story than Twilight. But this one is actually a better love story than Twilight.
Yes.
Yeah, it spans centuries. Now, I have recently been doing a little bit of research because I always like to do a little bit of research to test myself on what I know. And I have discovered that I think I got their origin story wrong, or it's been changed.
Yeah.
Because, so first of all, before we do that, I want you to tell the listener about Vlad, because Vlad was one of Nagash's original, allegedly.
Well, we think. So
yes.
The original bloodline, so the original vampire elders all came from a kingdom called Lamia in Khemri, which is where the Tomb Kings are from now.
Yep.
The Queen of Lamia, Neferata, discovered something when they decided to burn Nagash's temple and not kick him out for the first time. The Queen managed to rescue some of his books, and in there she found a recipe for something called the Elixir of Immortality, which she took, and that turned her into a vampire because it wasn't quite perfected by Nagash at that point.
He hadn't finished it.
No. So she just took it and was like, oh dear, I appear to be living forever, but I also want to eat the peasantry.
Yep.
Which wasn't so much of a problem
Meh.
for the nobility.
Yeah.
Eventually she shared it with various other members of her court. So her younger brother, Asoran, who would form the Strigoi vampires, and has just come out for the Flesh Eater
Court's just got a redo, actually,
yeah,
yes.
her Gore Vizier Wusoran, who becomes the founder of the Necrarch bloodline.
Yep.
The court champion Aparash, who would found the Blood Dragons. And then a mysterious stranger, sort of prince from a faraway land, came in, who she ended up becoming besotted with, and his name was Vashanesh.
Yes.
He was like the great leader and great sort of strategist. So when Nagash came back and went, "Hey, vampires, I kind of created you. Please help me, assist me in overthrowing the kingdom of the living," they all said, "Sure, that sounds cool.
We can do that."
Yep. So Vashanesh led the forces from the front, and he was given by Nagash a mighty artifact, which was a magical ring that made him not impervious to damage, but allowed him to heal from any damage he was given.
Yes, we will hear a bit more about the actual capacity of this of this artifact.
Then, sadly, once again, Nagash was defeated, and the vampires sort of scattered to the four winds as they were being chased out of Lamia and the rest of Khemri. And we don't know what happened to Vashanesh. Like, I think you sort of thought that he fell in that battle, but no one really knows. Neferata went off and eventually ended up in the Silver Pinnacle, which is an old dwarf hold, where she sort of holds court there. Asoran disappeared into the forests around Morcaine, I think. Wusoran basically built a big wizard tower.
Yes.
That's what his bloodline kind of does.
Yeah, they do magic.
Yeah, they sort of like just build massive towers and contemplate the mysteries of necromancy.
Yep.
Aparash went off, ate a dragon and formed the Blood Dragons. And nothing was heard for centuries and centuries and millennia.
So, two things that I've discovered in my slight research is that one, Vashanesh,
yes,
was just disappeared. And the other, which is, I think, canon now, is that it is in fact Vlad.
Right.
So that's like a 50-50 type deal going on.
Yeah, it's one of those. There's a few of those sort of things that pop up in Warhammer and 40k where things are very heavily hinted at without an official confirmation to make you kind of go, oh, but maybe not.
But he does have, so that's basically, then he pops up, he disappears for quite a while, and then somebody, we believe it to be Vashanesh, pops up in Sylvania.
When they're being overrun by Skaven.
When they're being overrun by...
And wandering undead.
Yes, Skaven and wandering undead. Now, I always thought that Otto von Drac was basically put out a thing saying, my daughter is dying of a pestilence caused by these Skavens.
Yeah, anybody
who can heal her can marry her. And a lot of people tried.
Yeah.
And nobody succeeded.
Yeah.
Until a prince from afar, who called himself Vladimir von Carstein, arrived in the night and saved. And then in the dawn, by the next night, his daughter had miraculously come healed and was better. And lo, Isabella von Carstein was reborn and married Vlad.
Yeah.
However, a couple of things now on various wikis and stories, I got this wrong. This is a bit backward.
Yeah.
I thought that was how the story went for the longest time. I could have sworn I'd read it in the Vampire Count's book, army book. But no, according to what I've read now, the first part with Otto van Drac being overrun by Skaven is correct. Yes. But Isabella was fine. But nobody, he didn't want her to marry anybody because they were all opponents of his.
Yes.
So he was like, well, I don't want you to marry them because I don't like you.
Yes.
And I don't want to give my adversaries power, so I'm not having any of that.
Yeah.
When Vlad turns up and is like, well, I will marry your daughter.
Yes.
And I will save your kingdom from these rats. And lo, he does, because Vlad, and he's fucking hardcore. So he then marries Isabella, and they are in love. He is a vampire and she is not. But then, a bit further down the line, I'll clarify here just a second, because although she wasn't happy to marry this sinister stranger, she was much happier than having to marry her creepy old Uncle Leopold. Apparently. But Vlad immediately fell in love with her. Vlad long resisted Isabella's request to join him on death. He simply loved her too much for her to endure all that. But when she lay dying from a fatal wasting illness, Vlad realised he could not carry on without her and reluctantly inducted her into the ranks of the undead.
Yes.
So I have got this story wrong.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's one of those, it's very a bit Mandela effect.
Yes, I think I've been, like, sort of skipped it round the wrong way on.
Yeah, well, I've got here the Liber Necris.
Yes. What does the Book of the Dead tell us?
The Book of the Dead says, yes, it's during the time of the Three Emperors.
Which is the current timeline.
Yes.
For Old World, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yeah, a lot of crap was going down. Various bandits and brigands and stuff were abroad. It said the nadir of this dark period came centuries later when Vlad von Carstein took over the rulership of Sylvania. The tale of how the first of the infamous vampire counts came to power is a pitiless one. It began on the storm-lashed night when Otto, last of the mad von Drac counts, lay on his deathbed, cursing the gods that he was without a male heir. Otto swore he would marry his daughter Isabella to a demon of chaos itself rather than let his hated brother Leopold inherit.
There we are.
He had already refused to give her hand to every one of the nobles of Sylvania, for he despised them all, and no one of high blood from outside the region wanted to marry an heiress from that land. Otto was a man of petty evils, given to putting the heads of peasants on spikes at the slightest provocation, and when mad with drink, he was convinced he was Sigmar reincarnate. The nobles who should have been his liegemen had no respect for his authority, and paid no attention to his commands. All of Sylvania seethed with civil strife. Yet even still, on his deathbed, the dying man lay unrepentant. Outside, the thunder rumbled and lightning split the storm-black darkness. Victor Gutmann, the aged priest of Sigmar who had been called to shrieve the old count, fainted dead away. Then from out of the storm came the sound of wheels. A great black coach drew up outside the keep, and a heavy hand smote the door. A ringing blow and a cold voice demanded entry. The castle gate swung open on its hinges before any man-at-arms could react, and the visitor was revealed. The dogs ceased to howl and slunk away. The stranger was tall, dark, and proud, and of noble bearing and aspect. No one stayed his entry, and he marched into the count's chamber. His accent was foreign, possibly from Kislev. That's just to give you the... Yes, I am Vladimir von Carstein.
I am Vladimir von Carstein.
Yes, and he recited his noble antecedents to the count, claiming Otto's daughter's hand for himself. Looking into the stranger's cold eyes, the count perhaps regretted his rash oath, but he could deny the stranger nothing. The old priest was roused, and he performed the marriage ceremony before the dying man's bed. Then Otto expired, leaving his daughter in the charge of Vlad von Carstein. The new count's first act was to cast the protesting Leopold through the window of the highest tower of Castle Drakenhof. Thanks for marrying us, mate. Bye!
Bye!
Defenestration!
Yes. So it does seem as though I have got the story a little bit backward.
Yes.
Because I thought it was Isabella that was dying, but apparently it was her father.
Yeah, I think we can sign two events together.
Yeah, and then she didn't get ill until later. But he was so in love with her because obviously he never met her until they got married.
No, but then it was more of a political thing.
Political marriage, because he wanted Otto von Drac's Sylvanian power.
Yes, he did.
And then he used that to then sort of politically and violently take over the whole of Sylvania. From Drakenhof Castle.
I like how it says here as well that basically all the peasantry were like, well, it's not as bad as the old one.
Yeah.
He doesn't randomly execute people for no reason.
Yeah, it was like no heads on spikes.
Yeah, or just demand exorbitant taxes. They were all like, fair enough. Sounds good.
Yeah. So actually, when Vlad took over Sylvania, Sylvania was a mess.
Oh god, yeah.
Absolutely terrible. It was overrun with Skaven.
This is a bit like Mussolini thing. This is the trains round on time type thing.
Yeah. I think maybe Vlad was worse than Mussolini. I'm not sure.
Well,
but Sylvania was a complete catastrophe of a province of the empire.
The Von Dracs were mental.
They were all mad.
They sort of drained the kingdom with tyrannical rulership and
heads on spikes.
Yeah, there's a lot of infighting amongst the nobles and blah blah blah.
Yeah, nobody, as it said there, nobody respected him, but he was in charge. But when Vlad took over, he started getting everything better and making it work. Because he wanted order, because one of Vlad's big things is he wants a lot of order.
Yeah.
And he likes order. The other thing he likes is ruling everywhere. But we'll come to that in a minute. So basically, you've got Vlad is now married to Isabella, and they're improving the lot of the Sylvanian people. Over time, then Isabella becomes ill, and then she becomes a vampire.
Yeah.
So he loved her so much
that he wouldn't let her die.
He didn't want to
curse her with the curse of undeath. Yeah.
That sounds an awful lot like Twilight.
It does. Yes, because that is the.
Yes, but this is before and also has a better end.
It's much better ending. And
also it's not really creepy because she's an actual adult. At this point,
she's a grown woman.
She's a grown woman,
and she wants to be a vampire.
And he doesn't. And he doesn't. They're also legally married.
Yeah.
And he doesn't stare at her in the night.
Yeah. he just comes in, kicks the door down, and says, "I'll marry your daughter."
Yeah.
And Otto von Drack is like, "Well, you were a demon of chaos, so I'll
why
go
not?
with you."
Yeah.
But he does actually love her very, very much. And that becomes apparent through this story all the way through. Is that Vlad and Isabella are absolutely besotted with one another.
Yes.
They are uncountably in love. Mm-hmm. The problem is that, unlike in Twilight, where you've got happy, clappy, friendly vampires, Vlad and Isabella are not that. No. So,
let's clarify first, this isn't exactly a 24-hour love story.
No.
They don't fall in love with each other in 24 hours.
No, they do not. No, it takes some time.
The early times were not really fleshed out. I think they are in the von Carstein Trilogy.
Yes,
obviously,
they are.
Get more of that in there. If you want a more detailed history of the Vampire Count Wars.
Yeah, there is
Wars of the Vampire Counts.
Wars of the Vampire Counts. Yeah.
The von Carstein Trilogy is really good for that.
It is very good.
Each book is like 3 books. 1 is Vlad and Isabella, 2 is Conrad, and 3 is Manfred. Yeah. And they're really good for that.
Yeah, they do fill in a lot of the background.
They do, as with all the sort of novels tend to do.
If we were to recount even just the first one of Vlad and Isabella, we'd be here for 9 hours.
Oh yeah.
Because their history is very long. We're just doing the cliff note bit of what's important, the important bit. So now Vlad and Isabella are married. Vlad and Isabella are now vampires.
Yes,
and
because he's slowly going around consolidating his power a bit, and that's when she falls ill.
Yes.
And he comes rushing back to her, dismisses all the doctors who are like, "We can do nothing.
We can do nothing, my lord. Out the window you go. Defenestration. Yeah, he's violently opposed to anybody being anywhere near her.
Yeah. He starts going, right, I want you to do all these things, and the sort of barons and nobles are like, whatever. But he starts rebuilding estates and things that suffer from neglect, and he starts, making the roads better and all these sort of things. And the peasants are like, "Oh, this is
quite good. This,
pretty cool.
He's a decent bloke. This von
much
Carstein.
Better than the last blogger, anyway." But then, rumours start to persist of people of young boys and girls going missing.
Yep.
And the dead being restless once more. And then and it's weird that some of those times the undead seem to be attacking people who are really against Vlad von Carstein. It's really weird.
Yes.
Also, and if that doesn't happen, they fall on accidents.
Yeah.
One of them was eaten by wolves. One was found dead in his room, eyes wide open, hair turned white, and he died in terror.
Yeah, there was a lot of anybody that opposed Vlad
just mysteriously went missing.
Yeah, just
the Vladimir Putin approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit less palladium, but more
undead creatures of the night. Yeah. To be fair, I think if Vladimir Putin had access to undead creatures of the night, I think they'd probably would die that too.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, they say this goes on for a long time.
Yes.
We're talking it says in the Liber Necris, generations of peasants were born and died.
Yeah.
And the thing is, being a peasantry, you don't really pay attention to your ruling lords because life is short and cruel.
Yep.
And it says here, one of the only when it started to twig was when one of the oldest women of Drakenhof claimed that her grandmother had been a girl when von Carstein came to the throne. Even the dim-witted and illiterate peasantry of Sylvania began to suspect that not all was it seemed.
Yeah. So they suddenly woke up after being told that this man's been on the throne for a long time.
Yeah, hang on a minute. And this is also, they were starting to notice that other noble houses, they all appear to be suffering from the same disease that Isabella was, and then all coming back again, and no one sees them in the day.
Yep.
And they're all very pale. Yeah, and slowly the entirety of the nobility of Sylvania has been replaced, and all the peasantry are kind of like, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Yes. And more people who go missing, more of the living that go missing, gets higher and higher. This is also when Vlad closes the borders as well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he's
this is when he fences the cattle in.
Yeah.
Basically.
So he sets up guard posts along the borders of Sylvania with Stirland, which is the major connection.
Yes.
And I believe, I can't remember the name.
I geography, but all the states, basically, he closes the borders to all the other parts of the empire.
Yeah, he closes the borders off, you got nobody in, nobody out.
Yes.
And more people are now going missing. And then one night...
Geheimsnacht, which is it's like the sort of...
The blood moon, is it?
It's kind of like our equivalent of
Halloween. Yes.
Yeah, it's when more sleep... Which is the Chaos Moon.
Chaos Moon
is highest in the sky or whatever. It's like the equinox or whatever.
Yeah.
He kind of throws off the disguise,
Yep.
climbs atop the battlements of Drakenhof, and intones incantations from one of the pages of the 9 books of Nagash.
Well, yes. And as we've said many times before,
you must not read from the book.
So,
yes. So he reads, lightning crashing. You can imagine the scene.
Yep.
Lightning crashing in the background. Wolves howling in the night.
Yep.
The terrifying words crashing out from the battlements.
Yes.
And all across Sylvania, the graveyards start to rumble.
Yep.
Skeletons pull their way out of the ground and various barrows and cairns. The recently dead drag themselves from their recent burials.
Yep.
And ghouls come rushing in through the forest.
Wolves, bats,
yes, the whole shebang.
Everything comes flooding down into Sylvania.
Then that's when they kind of Leroy Jenkins their way into the Empire.
Into the Empire, yes. And then it's in this part that Vlad would normally, being a ruling fellow, would leave his good lady wife at home to look after the manor.
Indeed.
However,
they cannot be parted.
They cannot be parted, and Isabella goes with him.
Yes, they go on campaign
They go on campaign together. And in most instances of rules for Vlad and Isabella, when they are on the battlefield together, they make each other better.
Yes.
So if you take one without the other, they're okay.
Yeah, when one of them died, I remember Isabella especially, when Vlad dies, Isabella goes absolutely mental.
Yep, flies into a frenzy and starts ripping everything around apart.
Yes,
and all
which is fine, because that can happen multiple times.
Yes.
As we'll explain.
Yes, so his first campaign into the Empire goes rather well.
Yes, it's against the first, because this is the time of the Three Empires.
Yep.
So he goes after the Artilia clan of Talabheim and basically kicks 7 bells of crap out of them at the Battle of Essen Ford.
Yes, which is quite a famous. But did they do a campaign for that? I think they did, didn't they?
I think they might have done a
battle board type thing for it. Yeah, it's really cool.
It's one of the big Vampire Count battles.
Yes.
I think it's like Essen Ford, Helfen, and the Siege of Altdorf are like the 3 big battles.
We're going to certainly come to
those really interest me. The battles that Games Workshop have done that have kind of determined the direction that the story has continued to go in.
Oh, the campaign modules they've done are really cool.
Interest me.
The worldwide campaigns. That'd be an interesting episode to talk about. Actually,
yeah, it would. Yeah,
thing, because they are both really successful and really not.
Yes.
From different metrics.
A bit of a tangent. The big one was a fantasy one, wasn't it, with Archaon, I think.
Storm of Chaos.
Storm of Chaos.
Was the first part. It was sort of like the end times. It was supposed to be the herald beginning of the end times.
Yeah.
And it did not go well for Chaos in terms of like...
anything.
But I think I've definitely been...
Was it which orc was it?
Grimgor Ironhide.
Ironhide.
It literally ends up like with this... to cut a quick tangent,
Yes.
The climactic battle is like Archaon, massive horde of chaos, Volton, who I'll explain more about, but
later,
kind of like the reincarnation of Sigmar.
Yep.
These two are battling, one on mano amidst a massive siege of horde. It's not going well for Archaon as such, but they're evenly matched. Then Grimgor Ironhide's orcs turn up, he batters his way through, headbutts Archaon, declares victory and leaves.
Yep.
That's it. It's brilliant.
So the way I had it described to me was that because it's a global campaign, so everyone's playing it. Basically, there was a store where they had just so many orc players, it was insane. Yeah. So they always just registered these victories on the website or whatever it was. They were registering these victories. So basically, you have Archaon standing like almost triumphant when Grimgor sort of just comes out of nowhere, hoofs him in the bollocks, and then just smashes, headbutts him into the floor, just goes... Orcs the best!
And then leaves.
And then fucks off.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the campaign.
But no, we'll go into more detail about all
the
campaigns.
But we'll go... Campaigns are great.
It's quite fascinating. I loved them.
I do.
But we'll go and explain why they're good and why they're bad, more importantly.
Yeah. There's a bit. So first invasion of... We'll get back on track.
Yep.
First invasion of the Empire.
Essen Ford goes well.
Essen Ford, awesome. Yes. Everything going according to plan. Yes. We've battered Talabheim.
Except for the fact that they managed to capture... the general for the Artilian forces,
right,
after the battle, and he kind of loses his crap, being sort of dragged before Vlad, loses his stuff. He grabs Vlad's sword and cuts his head off.
Yes.
You'd think this would be the end.
So that's the end of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the love story. Yeah. No.
The bunch of all the rest of the von Carstein's sort of lieutenants, with the exception of one, battle amongst themselves to take over from Vlad, thinking he's gone and that they'll lead the thing. One named Hermann Posner finally sort of comes out on top and is like, right, I shall lead this. And then later that night, Vlad turns up and cuts his head off.
Yep. Nope.
Nope, this is it.
No. Yeah. I don't know what you think you were doing, but you're not doing.
No, I'm not thinking. This is the start of a long list of times Vlad was killed and exacted revenge.
Yep. So then we move from the Battle of Talabheim to where does he go to next, Pete? Where are we off to?
The Battle of Schwarzhaven, where he is killed by the head of the Knights of the White Wolf, Jarek Kruger.
So the Knights of the White Wolf.
This is over several years, by the way.
Yeah, this isn't consecutive.
Yeah, it's not like literally like next week.
Next week.
Yeah,
this
it
is
says
over.
within a year, Vlad was back leading another army, and Kruger's smashed and bloodless body was found at the foot of Middenheim Spire.
Yep.
On the field of Bluthof, von Carstein fell with 5 lances through his body, and the Count of Ostland's runefang lodged in his heart. 3 days later, he was seen ordering the crucifixion of prisoners outside the town gates.
Yep.
Bogenhafen Bridge. A lucky cannon shot took von Carstein's head off. Within the hour, the cannon crew were dead and the village was being overrun. Yeah, so this kind of rinses and repeats for quite a few years. Yeah, they do they pretty much waste to a large section of the sort of southeastern empire.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember my geography.
Yes.
All the while coming towards getting closer and closer to the present day, the present day capital, but what will become the main day capital. Yes. Of Altdorf.
So in the meantime, as we're going through this, the reason for Vlad's perpetual reoccurrence is a mysterious ring, the von Carstein ring, which is believed to be
the Ring of Vashanesh.
The Ring of Vashanesh, and this is why it's believed that Vlad is Vashanesh, the same person. But Isabella doesn't go into battle without any sort of stuff. She has a chalice. Now, it was made...
Yeah, her healthy... Because, Vlad had the von Carstein sword, which is...
He doesn't have the rune fang.
No, he doesn't have
the
rune
he
fang.
wants the rune
but
fang.
I think it's... Is it Life Drinker?
Yes. I think that's what it's called, yeah.
And he has the von Carstein ring.
Yes.
Because back in the day, a von Carstein ring was 100 points.
Yes.
Because you could give it to any vampire lord, and it would just be like, if you die on a 2+, you not die.
So the thing that she carries an heirloom of the von Drax with her, which is a chalice which was made by her great grandmother, Countess Bathory.
For those people who are in the know, Elizabeth Bathory was in real life history was supposedly a woman who bathed in the blood of virgins.
That's the one.
So she's like part of the sort of history of vampire legends across various things.
A little bit.
So this is a bit of a nod.
To that one. Yes. But it was corrupted with dark magic. This golden goblet was forever filled with fresh blood, from which Isabella drank, even in the midst of the fiercest fighting. Those who dared to confront her in battle would stare wide-eyed as her wounds healed within seconds. Time seemed to flow backwards for the live vampire countess as blood crawled back into her opened veins and alabaster flesh. Their hesitation would inevitably cost them dearly. So that's Isabella. So she doesn't go in, she's not a damsel in distress by any sense of the imagination. She is a strong and independent woman.
You've got to remember that if Vlad is in fact Vashanesh, then he is one of the original elder vampires.
Yes.
So the vampires that he sires are going to be of equal power. Also, she's been around for hundreds of years.
Yes.
She's had access to the books and the gash, things like that. So she's going to be an incredibly powerful vampire lord
in her own right. Yes. She is not a waning.
No. She's not
what's it? I'm going to try and find very quickly.
That's what I was.
Thank you, Evie. I was trying to do that. Yeah. So as we did with Tyrion and Teclis, we'll have a look at what the book says for Vlad and Isabella and their equipment.
And rules as well.
And rules.
It helps.
Yes, from 8th edition, I believe.
Yes.
Are we an 8th edition book?
This is the 8th edition book.
From the Grey Library of Pete.
Indeed.
Yes, it's not quite black yet.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I don't have harlequins bouncing around it.
No.
And Araman knocking on the door every few weeks.
Let me in! Right, so... Fuck off. Right, so Vlad is a level 3 wizard, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. He has the aura of dark majesty, beguile, and supernatural horror. The hunger, undead, and vampiric, obviously. Vlad is beloved by death, and this is the rule I was talking about, where they're... Beloved in death, I should say. If Vlad and Isabella von Carstein are in the same unit, they are inspired to fight all the harder, and hence they benefit from always strikes first, which is very good.
Very powerful, yeah.
Furthermore, Vlad becomes the subject to frenzy and hatred should Isabella be slain, and vice versa. So hatred meaning you get to
Reroll
rerolls.
to hit, and frenzy meaning you get an extra attack.
Extra attacks, yes. He has Blood Drinker. There are no points on this one for how
No,
many points.
because at least this edition they didn't give specific points for magic items if they were included in the cost.
Yes, they were a bit different. You couldn't buy them without these.
No.
So it's a magic weapon in close combat. Blood Drinker. Attacks made with Blood Drinker are resolved at +1 strength, making his strength 6.
Because vampires are tough as balls.
Yep. In addition, while Vlad wields Blood Drinker, he restores lost wounds on a score of a 4+, for the purposes of the hunger special rule, which is basically he drinks blood and recovers.
Yeah, the more he kills, the more he heals.
The more he heals. And of course
that doesn't work.
Yes. He has the von Carstein Ring, which is a talisman. The von Carstein Ring grants Vlad a 4+ ward save, which is essentially what you would call now an invulnerable save. Furthermore, the first time Vlad is removed from play on the roll of a d6, on a 2+, he's immediately returned to life with a single wound, but he can then regenerate wounds. Yes. Vlad must be placed in the front rank of a friendly unit within 12 inches of the point where he fell.
Yeah, so basically if you wipe out a unit with combat res, he would just pop up
in the next one. Yeah. So that's Vlad. Isabella comes with... She's only a level 1 wizard. She's from the lore of vampires.
Yes.
She has Beguile, the Hunger, Undead and Vampiric. She is also beloved in death, as we saw before, and she has the Blood Chalice of Batharoy. This enchanted item, Isabella or another vampiric character in the same unit may drink from the Blood Chalice. At the start of each friendly magic phase, the chosen model regains a single wound lost earlier in the battle. So not quite as kitted up as Vlad, but...
No, but she does help him.
Yes.
He's the, destroyer, as in he will do a lot of damage. I mean, to be honest, she's no slouch. She's still, what, toughness, strength 5 and toughness 4, yeah. So she's still pretty nails by the standards of...
So to give you an idea of stats-wise, Vlad is weapon skill 6, ballistic skill 5. I don't know why he's got a ballistic skill. I don't think he has a ranged weapon, but they all got one.
Yeah.
Strength and toughness 5 with 3 wounds, an initiative of 7, and if Isabella's there, he always strikes first anyway, so he's faster than pretty much even
elf. Without having to reroll to hit in this edition. If you have high initiative and always strike first.
And 5 attacks,
yes,
which is quite good. Isabella comes with weapon skill 6, which is still very good.
Yep.
A ballistic skill of 4. She can't shoot quite as well as Vlad, apparently. She's also strength 5, but she's only toughness 4.
Yes.
She does have 2 wounds, which I thought she had more than that, but never mind.
In addition, she was the sort of cheaper version because you could take it by herself. So
she was
like. If you wanted a mega powerful lord, you had Vlad. If you wanted a slightly underpowered one, you took Isabella.
She has 2 wounds, initiative 6 and 4 attacks. Vlad has leadership 10 and Isabella only has leadership 7. But if you take them together, they are bonkers.
Yes.
So that is Vlad and Isabella's stats from the Vampire Count's Army book from 8th edition. They won't be getting a new one because they're on the Renegade list.
They're on the Renegades list,
yes, because it takes place in current history of Old World.
About 100 years after the last of the Vampire Counts defeated, and we won't go into the details again.
No,
but yeah,
we've covered the.
There's no real reason for it except for internal nonsense.
Yes. So we're at we get now further into the Vampire Wars because that is what we're on, aren't we?
Yes.
Realistically.
Yeah. We come now to the culmination of the first of the Vampire
Wars. Yeah.
Which is the Siege of Altdorf.
Yes. And we have our players in this particular setting, Manfred von Carstein.
So Manfred von Carstein, who will become the last and arguably most powerful of them.
I think so.
Whilst Vlad is strong, Manfred is a lot smarter.
Yeah.
And he spends a lot of the time in this era manipulating things for the scene, as we'll explain shortly.
Yep.
So we have Manfred von Carstein. Well, on the side of the vampires we have Vlad and Isabella leading the massive horde of the von Carstein undead horde.
They're nobles, which include, at this point, Manfred and Conrad.
Various other von Carstein,
Pieter,
there's a few other names I can't remember off the top of my head.
And then the opposing force.
And opposing them is
the Grand Theogenist.
The most important one is the Grand Theogenist Wilhelm III. So the Grand Theogenist is like the Pope, if the Pope was really angry and hit people with a hammer.
Yes. He is quite a sensible chap.
He's also really clever. Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is, I'm trying to think who is the... Yeah, because Altdorf at this point
Well, we don't have
one of the three
capitals.
Yeah, Ludwig, the claimant to the imperial throne. That's it. He wanted to surrender apparently.
Right.
But Wilhelm was like, "Sod off, no,
none of that."
He had a plan because he'd been doing a lot of studying.
Yes.
So he'd been in the vaults of the Grand Temple of Sigmar, doing a lot of reading, and he had, with a little bit of external help from a certain Manfred, come up with a plan. He knew what the secret to Vlad's supposed immortality was.
Yep.
It was the von Carstein ring. So they kind of capture-stroke contract.
Yes.
A person by the name of Felix Mann.
Who is purportedly the greatest thief
of his age.
Yes, ever lived. The thing,
yes.
And nobody's quite sure what they had over Felix.
Yes, he says here he was offered a full pardon and laid under a geas by the Grand Theogenist.
Ah, okay, so they didn't. They just.
So it's a bit of a holy. We'll give you a pardon and more, but Sigmar will smite thee if I bugger off and not do what we say.
Yep. And he crept into.
He crept into their camp during the day,
under the cover of daylight.
Yeah, under the cover of daylight.
Which sounds odd, but obviously they're vampires.
I'll read quickly from the
account here.
Man believed that it was arrogance of the vampires that caused them to post no sentries outside the pavilion. Man slipped the ring from the von Carstein finger and fled, not returning to Altdorf. No one knows what became of him and the von Carstein ring. No one, that is, except I. Because the Liber Necris is written by Manfred von Carstein.
Yes.
So the book is meant to be written as if you're reading Manfred's words and his descriptions. It basically Manfred had made it so the guards were busy.
Yep.
And I think, if I'm trying to remember, it's laid out a lot more in the book, the von Carstein Trilogy, but I think Manfred ambushes Man
later on.
Yeah. I can't remember whether he actually takes the ring or not, but I know something. I can't remember what happens to it. Because Manfred doesn't have the ring later on.
No. The ring does reappear,
yes,
but not for a while. I don't think until Nagash comes back.
Yeah.
Much later on, which we'll get to in a bit.
So so that's what happens.
They are the players. On one side, we have the machinations of Manfred von Carstein, but the army is being led by Vlad, and Felix Mann has taken the von Carstein ring and buggered off.
Yes.
And nobody knows what happens to it apart from Manfred.
This makes Vlad somewhat angry.
Yes, it pisses him off.
But rather than being smart about it, he immediately orders the attack on the city. So the undead horde descends upon Altdorf. There is much fighting.
There is a lot of fighting.
Yes.
This apparently goes on for quite a while.
Yeah, there's a massive, huge battle. At the peak of the battle... The Grand Theogenist himself...
Wilhelm III.
Yeah, how was it? Yeah. The centre of the vast struggle, high above the city, the Grand Theogenist clashed with Vlad. It was such a battle as few as ever had seen. Two mighty champions exchanged blows, and Vlad soon gained the upper hand. Sensing that the end was near, Wilhelm leapt at his foe, accepting Vlad's blade through the chest, even as he bore the vampire count over the battlements. The two fell locked together in an embrace of death. First, Vlad was impaled on the wooden spike at the wall's foot, and then Wilhelm landed on top, driving him still further on. With an awful scream, the Count expired for the final time, for without the power of his ring to resurrect him, none of his allies could get to his remains before the servants of the Empire.
So Wilhelm III, glorious hero of the Empire, hurls himself and Vlad off the battlements. They both expire gloriously at the bottom, and this... now also fighting at the top of this similar place but not next to him, Isabella sees her bodyguard start to just crumble apart and fall apart around her.
It says here, so the last casualty of the Battle of Altdorf was Isabella von Carstein.
There we go.
Apparently unable to face eternity without her husband, she impaled herself on a stake and shriveled to dust before the eyes of the would-be Emperor Ludwig and his bodyguard.
There you go.
So, she realises he's dead, and it's actually properly dead.
Yep.
Yes.
And that is the end of Vlad and Isabella. Only it's not.
Yes.
So now, very quickly, we'll fill in that due to machinations, Conrad von Carstein now comes to power.
This is on the sort of... the flight back to sort of Sylvania.
Yep.
There are 5 surviving claimants: Fritz, Hans, Peter, Conrad, and Manfred. Who is it? Fritz was killed attempting to besiege Middenheim. Hans was killed by Conrad. over who was the toughest. Peiter was captured in his coffin by the witch hunter Helmut van Haal, and Conrad is the only one who survives, apart from Manfred. Conrad is mental.
Yes, so Conrad is what could be considered absolutely mental.
One of his special rules is a few bats short of a belfry.
Yep, he's beyond...
he tried to do the whole, like, haha, I will succeed my sire. Did not work.
No. Isn't the end of Conrad, he just wanders off?
No, it says here, he was hunted down by Helmut von Hall, I think.
Who is basically...
so he was accepted his father's claim to the throne once his zombie under Conrad's control. Battle of Grim Moor.
That's the one.
Combined now with humans and dwarves. Defeat Conrad in 2121. The dwarf hero Grufbad held Conrad down while Helmut impaled his father's killer with his runefang, then hacked his body to pieces and ordered his remains burnt.
There we go. So yeah, Conrad,
yes,
done. And that leaves but one von Carstein.
Indeed.
And that is Manfred.
The smartest one.
The smartest one. And the most powerful spellcaster as well.
Yes.
So Manfred von Carstein goes on a collective assault through the Empire.
Well, before that, this is the thing. He goes down to Nekahara and reaches distant Lamia and basically studies necromancy and learns the history of all necromancy and the vampires.
Right.
Before he comes back and takes over.
Okay.
So this is part of it. It's like he learned a lot about where vampires come from and
their magic, necromancy, and probably reads some books that you shouldn't have read.
Yeah,
and then he goes on his...
thing where, the sad thing is he nearly wins, except for the fact that at the Battle of Siege of Altdorf, the Empire had captured the Books of Nagash and the Liber Mortis, which is the other big necromancy tome. So when he gets to Altdorf, the Grand Theogenist comes out.
The
new one, Kurt III.
Kurt III.
Comes out with the Liber Mortis and reads the great spell of unbinding and basically just goes, no, and just turns all of Manfred's army to dust.
Yep.
So he's a bit like,
basically one big counter spell. I do believe that does in the Theogenist again, though, doesn't it? I think that sort of sent him off the edge.
I don't know. Yeah, they might have killed him just to be safe.
Yeah, you read the book, done.
Yes, and then he sort of goes, oh crap, and sort of tries to get back to Sylvania, and he's eventually cornered at the Battle of Helfen.
Yes, and this is the last big vampire
this is the last big vampire count where he was cut down by Martin, the Count of Stirland.
Yep.
Yes, and this is technically where he died.
Yep.
Forever. This is quite funny because I love this because he was brought back accidentally by Nigel Stillman, one of the writers.
Yes.
And they've retconned it in here by saying, naturally Martin Stirling claimed he had slain me single-handed for his defeat, demanded all Sylvania to be added to his domains. Since no one else actually wanted the land, no one gainsaid him. The citizens of the Empire declared that the threat of the vampire counts was ended forever. I tell you now, were it not for the easily manipulated mind of a petty necromancer by the name of Stillman, I would still be beneath the mud and ooze of that swamp. Once again, I am the undisputed lord of my domain, stronger than I have ever been in all my long life. The ravages of the barbarian Lord Archeon has weakened the Empire and has shifted the eyes of humanity from the threat I rightly pose.
So Manfred comes back accidentally because that's supposed to be the end of them, isn't it?
Yes, but he spent a lot of time behind the scenes eating other vampires mostly as well from different bloodlines because obviously if you eat another vampire you gain its power. So this is where he goes around he's like, okay, sensibly, let me just spend a bunch of time not being a massive threat to the Empire and building up my power and my forces.
Yes, so that is the end of the vampire wars.
Yes, for several hundred years. And if you're following in timeline, that is after Manfred dies. We're roughly about 100 years
after that is where Old World is currently set.
Yes.
So that's where we are. Now, this is not the end of Vlad von Carstein because he shall return. That's his sort of thing. He is Dracula, really.
Yes.
And so shall Isabella. Because as we move towards the end times, Manfred von Carstein is going round collecting the 9 books of Nagash. And he's joined in this search by someone who has some of the books of Nagash, and that is Arkan the Black.
Yes.
Now, Arkan the Black is playing the part of submissive, yes sir, you're so powerful, Manfred, and yes, of course I will help you do this, Manfred, why would I not?
I'm so sad that since my great Lord and Master Nagash is dead. You are clearly his heir.
You are clearly the heir of Nagash. You are obviously...
I wish my lord was here, but he is not.
Yes.
Yes.
And all the while, Manfred is hearing a voice in his head. And he thinks it's Vlad. But he refuses to go the way of Conrad. Because he thinks this is basically what happened to Conrad. He went mad. So he refuses to listen to this voice. And he's like, I'm not going to pay attention to you. I don't care. And obviously Arken's they're going, well, Manfred's talking to himself. Yes. That can't be good, but never mind, we'll carry on anyway. And we get to a big ritual that is going to empower Manfred with the power of Nagash.
Yes.
With the 9 books. However, our good friend Arken the Black has not been wholly honest with Manfred.
You shocked me, sir.
Yes, he has been somewhat manipulative.
Treachery amongst agents of darkness.
Yes. And actually the voice that Manfred has been hearing and deliberately not listening to is not that of Vlad, but Nagash.
Himself, yes.
And Nagash has also been playing on Manfred's hatred of Vlad, in that he's been gently manipulating him by saying, well, if you go over here and do this, of course it will benefit you.
So he's going, screw you, I'll go over there.
I'll go over there and do the other thing.
Yes, yeah.
And during this big ritual, Arken the Black goes, I kind of lied to you. I'm just going to bring Nagash back now.
Yeah.
And Manfred goes, you are not. I'm leaving. I'm not having Nagash back. I'm in charge. And he can't get out.
Yeah.
And lo, Nagash returns.
Yes.
And Manfred is like, I can't say no to Nagash, because obviously Nagash is the creator of absolutely all undead. So they are beholden to Nagash. Arken is ecstatic that his master has returned, so he's more than happy to become a servant of Nagash once more. But Nagash is like, well, I want Vlad back.
Yes.
So
he was the most obedient of
he was the one that I want back. So
and he was also the greatest general, because Manfred's a really, really powerful magician, and he's really smart and evil and stuff like that. But yeah, Vlad was always the better
general. Yes, so he creates.
So in other words, Vlad is more the Tyrion to
Manfred's Teclis.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Just tying it into the last
No, that works.
It's a good analogy.
Good analogy, yeah. So basically Nagash is like, well, I'm going to have some generals and some Mortarchs, they're called.
They call them Mortarchs.
Mortarchs now. So Arken the Black, thank you very much for bringing me back.
Yes.
Lo,
have a weird, gribbly
hell beastie. And Manfred, as much as I don't like you and you didn't want it,
still really powerful.
You're still really powerful, so there you go. And I need a third.
Neferata. Yes. You get out of your tower.
Get out of your tower and come and do as you're told. And she's like, oh, Nagash is back. Let's go and do that. And I need a general.
Yes.
So I'm going to bring Vlad back. So Vlad is raised from the dead by Nagash.
Right.
And Vlad, being old and powerful, turns around and goes, bog off. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want anything to do with him. He's a snivelling wretch. I don't know who that is. I don't care. I'm not having anything to do with you. You can't control me. I'm too old and powerful, because obviously we believe he's Slaanesh. So he's like, Neferata was like, yeah, I'll come and work for you. Manfred had no choice, and Arken was happy to do it. Vlad is like, fuck you. I'm not interested. And Nagash just leans over and whispers, but I know where Isabella's body is. If you come and work for me, I will bring Isabella back.
Oh, dear.
So, of course, Vlad's great love of Isabella forces him into servitude during the end times of Nagash, which he didn't want, he wasn't interested, and he becomes, weirdly enough, one of the great sort of forces of light almost in the end times, because all his sort of battles that he fights are not for Nagash, they are against chaos. So Vlad is basically fighting throughout the end times, not for Nagash, not for the forces of chaos, not for any of this. He just wants to win because he's been promised Isabella. If they can get through it, Isabella will be given back to him, and that's his entire motivation throughout the end time. So this
is the thing I have with the end times. This is tangent time, but my thing with the end times was there was, especially in the Nagash book, the first part of it, there's so many awesome plot lines, right?
Yep.
And I was like, this is where I was really excited by it. I was like, I'm sad it's the end times, but I'm like, okay, we got some really cool story threads.
Yep.
These are really good.
They're really good.
Then it just goes off the deep end.
Yeah, it just becomes a little bit stupid.
It just went really...
But if you ignore all that and just follow the fact that, there are some good stories, the Siege of Altdorf happens again, this time with Vlad on the inside.
Ooh.
And one of the greatest moments is that he goes to see because the Emperor is not there. Karl Franz has gone off. They've got the council that's there, and Vlad walks in, and they say to him like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, none of you can kill me, so don't bother. It's not worth it. I will help you alleviate this siege if you give me the Rune Fang of Sylvania."
Yep.
And make me the Elector Count of Sylvania, I will help you. And they go, no. So they call his bluff a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the siege is going badly, and obviously Vlad doesn't want Altdorf to fall. So he's like, oh, for God's sake. So he climbs up to the top of the tower, reads from the book.
Of course.
And all the battlefields of old that have been fought around Altdorf, of which there's a lot. We've talked 2 of them already, where loads of people died. And all the graveyards from all the diseases that have forever Skaven and Nurgle, all this. And they all start rising out of the graves around. And of course, this throws everyone in Altdorf into absolute panic.
Because they think, oh shit,
the undead are here. We've got demons on the outside.
One at a time, please.
We've got demons on the outside. Now we've got undead in the middle. And it's only when they start marching out and fighting the demons do they sort of go, oh, we don't need to fight. Let's all just look the other way and fight demons where the undead aren't.
Grandad, is that you?
But so that's and we're going to cover the end times later. So that's where I'm going to. That's the bit I'm going to end it at.
There'll be some strong opinions.
There strong opinions on the end times, but the love story of Vlad and Isabella is not over.
No,
Vlad and Isabella still continue on for the last 1,000+ years in the old world. It is the greatest love story told in the old world by a stretch. And I absolutely love the fact that when they take the battlefield together in everything, because in Total Warhammer 2 they get bonuses as well in the game. That's why, again, the first thing I did when I got that game, Vlad von Carstein. Oh look, you can be Isabella or you can be Vlad, and if you have them, they both. You have both. It's amazing. So that was the first thing I did because I do love the story as much as they are not the Twilight story. They are evil. They do want to take over the world.
Oh, yeah.
But they want to do it together, Pete.
They do. That's what's important.
So he didn't leave her behind.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
No, he took her with him and let her lay waste to countless battlefields just to have some fun.
That's what relationships
Couples goals, man. Couples goals.
I do like, and this might just be the feminist in me, but I do like that she's not just a damsel in distress.
She's very much not, no.
She is badass in her own right.
Oh, absolutely badass,
I think that we need more of that in the world.
We do, definitely. And we want Vlad and Isabella back in Age of Sigmar, because they didn't bring them back in Age of Sigmar. But you never know.
There's no reason why they can't come back in Old World, because, again, historical characters.
Yes.
We've had them before in Warhammer, we'll have them again. Yeah, in fact, like I say, 8th edition was set 1,000 years after
they were both dead.
Yep. You could still take them.
You could still play them on the battlefield, so why not? Nothing wrong with that. I have to wait for the PDFs to see.
Justice for... They're out now.
Are they out?
They are.
They were released on release day.
No,
which
released the following Monday.
They were released on Monday.
Yeah. So you can get the PDFs. I'll have to check that out. See if you can. See if they've got stats for Vlad and Isabella. See if
they don't have. Sadly, they have no special characters.
Do they not?
No.
Oh, how disappointing!
Because they're renegades.
Of course they are.
They're the renegades, which suggests that there might be something coming out in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, but they won't do Vlad, I don't think, because you've got the 3 Mortarchs of Nagash. You've got Manfred. You've got Neferata.
We've already got there's more Mortarchs now, haven't they?
Yeah,
every time they release a new flipping faction, and they get a Mortarch
of whatever. Yeah,
Mortarch of being slightly.
But Vlad was never a Mortarch. Vlad was just his own.
Because he's his own guy.
He is his own guy. But there is the end of the greatest love story ever told. Thank you for listening, dear listener rather than viewer. So next time, dear listener, we will be discussing a few things. We're going back to 40k.
We are.
And we're going to do some of the lesser chapters of Space Marines.
Lesser.
They're less covered.
The not first founding legions.
Yes.
Some of the successor chapters. With some interesting histories.
Yes. Little bits that you might not have heard of.
Yeah.
So things that people might not don't know.
Some you will, some you won't.
Yep, but hopefully we'll fill them
Tune in and you'll find out.
Tune in. So we'll quickly run through a couple that we're going to do. One of mine that I want to know more about is the Exorcists, and one that Pete suggested was the Flesh Tearers.
Yes, because that's again one of my favourite characters.
Yeah, I like them.
So Gabriel
Seth of the Flesh Tearers. So so we're going to be doing some like sporadic founding chapters.
Yeah.
To see what
notable chapters of the Space Marines that are not first founding.
Yes. So take care of yourselves. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will speak to you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.